There are moments when the soul realizes that something has already shifted, even before the mind understands what changed. You wake up and the weight feels different. The pressure that once followed you quietly is no longer sitting in the same place. Nothing dramatic happened, no confrontation, no announcement, and yet something that used to linger feels weaker. This is how real spiritual transitions often begin, not with noise, but with absence. The absence of tension that once felt permanent, the absence of urgency that once shaped your thoughts, the absence of an internal resistance you had grown used to carrying. What you are experiencing now is not the start of a battle. It is the continuation of a weakening. Something that relied on repetition, confusion, and pressure has lost its environment, and without its environment, it cannot sustain itself. Many spiritual interferences do not survive exposure. They survive familiarity. They remain powerful only as long as they feel normal, as long as the soul believes this is just how things are. But when awareness settles and presence becomes steady, that familiarity breaks. And when it breaks, influence fades. This is why stillness matters. Stillness is not inactivity, it is positioning. When you remain under spiritual covering without reacting, without forcing outcomes, unseen pressures lose their rhythm. They no longer find resistance to push against. They no longer find fear to amplify. The Psalms were never meant to create urgency. They were meant to establish dwelling. Dwelling is what changes authority. When you dwell, you stop visiting protection and begin living from it. And what lives from protection does not need to fight for peace. As you remain here, notice how the mind does not rush as much to explain. Explanations once felt necessary to feel safe. Now safety is felt directly, and when safety is felt, the mind quiets naturally. This quiet does not mean nothing is happening. It means the deeper work has moved beneath the surface. Roots are being addressed, not symptoms. And when roots weaken, patterns collapse without effort. Some cycles ended because they were confronted. Others end because they are no longer fed. This is one of those moments. What depended on your reaction is losing access. What depended on your exhaustion is losing leverage. What depended on confusion is losing coordination. You may notice subtle changes. Sleep feels deeper, thoughts feel slower, emotional triggers do not grab you the same way. This is not coincidence. This is alignment taking hold. Alignment does not shout, it stabilizes. And once stability is established, fear no longer governs decisions. Fear may still speak, but it no longer commands. At this point in the journey, it is important to remain rather than rush forward. This is not the moment to seek intensity. It is the moment to allow what has weakened to continue weakening without interruption. If this space has been meaningful for you so far, take a moment now to remain connected. Staying close to this channel allows you to return to this atmosphere whenever you need grounding, clarity, or rest. As we continue, understand that what has shifted is not temporary relief, it is repositioning. What has been exposed will not reorganize quietly. What has lost authority does not regain it easily. This is why continuity matters. Each time you return to this place of stillness, you reinforce the environment where peace governs and interference fades. Over time, this environment becomes familiar, and familiarity with peace changes everything. You are not starting over. You are continuing from where something already weakened. This is the advantage of remaining rather than restarting. Other reflections and psalms within this channel were created to support the same state you are entering now. They are not separate experiences, but extensions of this one. Each one deepens the same refuge. Each one reinforces the same alignment. Return when you need to rest. Return when you need clarity. Return when you need to remain. What has begun quietly continues. As this continuation deepens, the soul begins to recognize something important. The pressure that once demanded constant attention no longer has the same voice. It may still exist at the edges, but it does not dominate the center. And what does not dominate the center eventually loses influence altogether. This is how authority reorders itself, not through confrontation, but through consistency. When peace remains long enough, anything that depends on disturbance begins to fail. Disturbance needs movement, it needs reaction, it needs urgency. And when none of those are present, it weakens naturally. You may notice that situations which once triggered immediate emotional responses now feel distant, not ignored, not denied, but less personal. This distance is not detachment from life. It is clarity returning to its rightful place. Clarity allows you to see without being pulled into the weight of what you see. The Psalms have always worked this way. They do not rush transformation. They establish an atmosphere where transformation becomes inevitable. When you remain within that atmosphere, things rearrange themselves quietly. What once felt immovable begins to shift without effort. This is why the mind feels less crowded now. Thoughts still come, but they no longer compete for control. They pass through awareness instead of taking residence. And when thoughts stop taking residence, peace stops being interrupted. Peace does not mean the absence of challenge. It means the absence of internal chaos. Challenges may still arise, but they arrive without the same power to destabilize you. They knock, but they are not invited inside. As this steadiness grows, the body responds as well. Tension that lived unnoticed in the shoulders, in the chest, in the jaw, begins to release. The body recognizes that it no longer needs to brace itself. Safety has become internal, not situational. This internal safety changes how you rest. Rest becomes deeper, more complete. Even moments of stillness during the day feel restorative. This is not accidental. It is the nervous system responding to sustained alignment. Alignment is not something you force. It is something you stop interrupting. The less you interfere, the more it settles. And the more it settles, the less room there is for what once disrupted you. Some things leave loudly, others leave because they are no longer relevant. What is leaving now belongs to the second category. It does not announce its departure, it simply stops showing up. This is the sign of a real shift. When old patterns no longer feel familiar, when reactions that once felt automatic now feel optional, when peace feels normal instead of fragile. Normal peace is powerful. It does not need protection. It protects itself by being established. And once established, it becomes the reference point for everything else. As you continue to remain here, understand that this is not a pause in your journey. It is a foundation being reinforced. Foundations are quiet, they are built beneath the surface, but everything that stands later depends on them. Nothing you have experienced here is wasted. Nothing fades when done this way. What settles through stillness remains far longer than what is forced through intensity. Allow this continuation to do its work without hurry. There is no finish line to reach tonight. There is only the steady deepening of what has already begun. And as this depth becomes familiar, you will notice that returning to it becomes easier, less effort, less resistance, less noise. This is how refuge becomes a dwelling place rather than a momentary escape. What has weakened continues to weaken. What has settled continues to settle. What has shifted does not return to its old position. Remain here as long as you need, and when you return to other moments within this channel, you will recognize the same atmosphere waiting for you, not as repetition, but as continuity. The process is still moving. As this continuation carries forward, the soul begins to trust what it no longer feels. The absence of weight becomes as noticeable as its presence once was. This absence is not emptiness, it is space reclaimed. Space that was previously occupied by anticipation, by subtle fear, by the need to stay alert. Now that space belongs to calm. Calm does not erase memory, it reframes it. What once felt overwhelming now feels distant, as if viewed from a higher ground. Distance brings perspective. Perspective weakens emotional charge, and when emotional charge fades, old patterns lose their grip. This is why reactions slow down, not because you are suppressing them, but because they are no longer fueled. Fuel once came from urgency. Urgency has softened. Without urgency, the inner world regains balance. Balance allows discernment to return naturally. Discernment does not argue, it does not rush to conclusions. It observes quietly and responds only when necessary. This quiet response changes outcomes more effectively than force ever could. As discernment stabilizes stabilizes, decision-making feels clearer. Decisions no longer feel pressured, they feel aligned. Alignment removes doubt. Doubt once consumed energy silently. Without it, energy remains available for rest and presence. Presence continues to deepen here. It does not demand attention. It supports awareness whether you are fully engaged or gently drifting. This support is constant. It does not fluctuate with mood or thought. You may notice that silence feels different now. Silence no longer invites restlessness. It invites settling. Settling allows the soul to rest in itself without the need to fill space. Space no longer feels threatening. Threat once shaped many internal responses. Without threat, the nervous system recalibrates. Breathing becomes fuller, muscles soften. The body recognizes safety not as an idea, but as a lived condition. This lived safety changes how you move through the day. Even when challenges arise, they no longer dominate your internal state. They exist alongside steadiness rather than replacing it. This coexistence is strength. Strength here is not force, it is resilience. Resilience allows flexibility without collapse. It allows you to bend without breaking. This resilience grows quietly through remaining rather than resisting. As remaining becomes natural, the soul stops measuring progress. Measurement once implied lack. Now sufficiency is felt. Sufficiency does not mean nothing more will happen. It means what is happening is enough. Enoughness removes the pressure to hurry spiritual growth. Growth continues on its own timeline. It does not respond to demand. It responds to consistency. Consistency has been established here. As this consistency continues, subtle confidence returns. Confidence without arrogance. Confidence without display. Confidence that simply knows it is no longer governed by what once disrupted it. This knowing does not need to be defended. It rests quietly. Defense would only recreate the very tension that has been released. Rest preserves the shift. Preservation happens naturally when the environment remains stable, and stability here is not fragile. It has been reinforced through repetition, through stillness, through not leaving when quiet deepened. As this depth becomes familiar, returning to it requires less effort. The path is already known. You no longer need to search for it. You recognize it immediately through the feeling of settling. This recognition is important. It means that what you are experiencing is not temporary relief. It is a new baseline forming. Baselines shape future responses without conscious effort. As this new baseline strengthens, the old one fades completely. It does not return disguised. It does not renegotiate. It simply becomes irrelevant. Allow this continuation to unfold at its own pace. There is no need to guide it. It knows where it is going because it is not trying to go anywhere. Remain here. As this steady unfolding continues, something subtle becomes clear. Peace is no longer something you visit, it is something you carry. It does not depend on silence around you, nor on perfect conditions. It remains even when life moves, even when noise exists, even when responsibilities call for attention. This is how peace matures. It stops being fragile, it stops needing protection, it becomes rooted. When peace is rooted, external situations lose the power to rearrange your inner world. They may influence your schedule, your energy, your decisions, but they no longer reorganize your identity. Identity has stabilized beneath experience rather than reacting to it. This stabilization changes how pressure feels. Pressure may still arrive, but it no longer sinks inward. It stays at the surface. What stays at the surface does not shape you, it passes. Passing is important. Many things once stayed longer than they should have because they were allowed to settle inside. Now, awareness allows movement without attachment. What arrives moves through. What moves through does not remain. As this flow becomes natural, the mind stops rehearsing scenarios. Rehearsal once felt like preparation. In reality, it sustained anxiety. Without rehearsal, the mind rests more often in the present moment. The present moment proves itself sufficient again and again. Sufficiency builds trust. Trust allows the soul to relax further. Relaxation here is not collapse. It is openness without fear. Openness allows discernment to operate without urgency. Discernment does not rush, it waits until clarity emerges. Clarity emerges naturally when pressure is absent. This clarity guides decisions gently, without force, without doubt. As decisions become clearer, regret loses relevance. Regret depended on confusion and self-blame. With clarity present, choices feel aligned even when outcomes are uncertain. Alignment replaces the need for control. Control once disguised itself as responsibility. Now responsibility feels lighter. You respond when needed, rest when possible, and release what is not yours to carry. This balance conserves energy. Conserved energy expresses itself as steadiness rather than tension. Steadiness allows endurance. Endurance allows long faithfulness without exhaustion. Exhaustion once came from fighting what did not need to be fought. This realization settles quietly. You no longer feel compelled to engage every internal movement. Some thoughts pass unnoticed. Some emotions dissolve before forming fully. This is not avoidance. It is wisdom returning to its natural place. Wisdom here is not analytical. It is embodied. It feels like knowing when to pause, when to act, and when to remain still. Remaining still has become familiar enough that it no longer feels unproductive. Stillness now feels like participation in something deeper, something that continues even when you are not actively aware of it. This continuity is comforting. It removes the fear of losing ground. Nothing you have experienced here requires maintenance. It stabilizes itself through presence. Presence has been consistent long enough to become structural. As structure forms, the inner world becomes reliable. Reliability builds confidence. Confidence allows you to move forward without bracing yourself against imagined outcomes. Moving forward does not mean leaving this place. This place moves with you. It has become internal. You do not have to return to it deliberately. It is already there. And as this understanding settles, the need to push spiritual progress disappears. Growth continues quietly, naturally, without pressure. Pressure was never the source of transformation. Allow this continuation to deepen without direction. Let what has already shifted continue to settle into its rightful place. Remain here, carried by the same steadiness that has held you through this entire unfolding. As this calm presence continues to settle, the soul begins to notice how little effort is now required to remain centered. What once demanded attention, discipline, and constant correction now holds itself naturally. This is the sign that something internal has reorganized at a deeper level. Reorganization does not announce itself. It happens quietly, beneath awareness, while the surface of life appears unchanged. Yet inside, the reference point has moved. You are no longer orienting yourself from tension, but from steadiness. This shift changes how challenges are perceived. Challenges no longer feel like threats to peace. They feel like movements passing through a space that is already secure. Security here is not emotional reassurance. It is grounded certainty. Certainty does not mean knowing outcomes. It means trusting alignment. Alignment does not guarantee ease, but it guarantees coherence. Coherence allows the soul to move through complexity without fragmentation. Fragmentation once created fatigue, different parts pulling in different directions, reacting to different fears, holding competing narratives. That fragmentation has softened. Now there is more unity inside. Unity simplifies everything. With unity comes a quieter confidence, not confidence that demands expression, but confidence that allows silence. Silence no longer feels like absence. It feels like fullness without noise. In this fullness, awareness does not need to scan for meaning. Meaning is already present, woven into the experience itself. This removes the pressure to interpret every sensation or thought. Interpretation once interrupted rest. Now rest deepens, uninterrupted. As rest deepens, the body continues to respond. Breathing becomes slower without force. Muscles remain relaxed even during wakefulness. The nervous system recognizes safety as a constant, not a temporary condition. This constant safety changes how you relate to uncertainty. Uncertainty no longer provokes immediate reaction. It becomes another space where trust can exist. Trust here is not blind. It is grounded in lived experience of steadiness. Steadiness has been present long enough to be reliable. Reliability removes the need to return to old coping patterns. Those patterns depended on instability to remain relevant. Without instability, they lose purpose. You may notice that when old thoughts attempt to return, they feel out of place. Not threatening, just outdated. They dissolve quickly because they no longer match the environment you are inhabiting. This environment has become internal. It moves with you. It does not depend on this moment, this sound, or this stillness. It remains even when attention shifts elsewhere. As this understanding settles, there is a sense of freedom without urgency. Freedom not from responsibility, but from internal pressure. Pressure once distorted perception. Without it, perception is clearer and kinder. Kindness toward yourself becomes easier, not as an effort, but as a natural response. Harshness no longer feels justified. Compassion no longer feels risky. It flows from steadiness rather than emotion. This compassion does not weaken boundaries. It strengthens them by removing fear-based reactions. Boundaries guided by clarity are calm and effective. As clarity continues to stabilize, the soul feels less compelled to seek validation. Validation once served as reassurance. Now reassurance is internal. You know where you stand without asking. Knowing where you stand does not limit growth. It supports it. Growth here is not expansion outward. It is deepening inward. Deepening creates roots. Roots support endurance. Endurance allows you to remain faithful to this state, even as life continues to move. You are no longer pulled away by every demand. You respond without losing center. Centering no longer requires effort. It has become the default. Returning to it happens naturally, like exhaling after a breath is held too long. Nothing here is fragile. What has formed is stable enough to remain through movement, change, and time. Allow this continuation to remain unforced. There is no need to guide it. It knows how to sustain itself. As this quiet stability continues to take root, the soul begins to recognize how little it needs to defend itself now. Defense once felt necessary because the inner world was easily shaken. Now, what stands within you does not move when circumstances shift. It remains steady and grounded, even as life continues around it. This groundedness changes how you relate to effort. Effort no longer feels like pushing against resistance. It feels like cooperation with what is already aligned. When effort cooperates instead of forcing, fatigue diminishes. What once drained you no longer has the same effect. You may notice that even moments of uncertainty feel different. Uncertainty no longer triggers tension in the body. It no longer demands immediate answers. It simply exists, and you remain intact within it. This is not indifference. It is trust that has matured beyond urgency. Mature trust does not rush clarity. It allows clarity to arrive when the ground is ready. And because the ground is stable now, clarity arrives more often, more gently, without pressure. When clarity arrives this way, it stays. Staying is important. Many insights once came and went because they landed on unstable ground. Now, the ground holds. What lands here integrates rather than evaporates. Integration changes behavior quietly, without declarations. You may find yourself responding differently without deciding to change. Patience appears where irritation once lived. Discernment replaces impulse. Silence becomes comfortable instead of awkward. These are not techniques being applied. They are signs of internal order being restored. Order does not restrict freedom, it supports it. When internal order is present, energy flows without obstruction. Flow feels natural. It does not require constant attention. It simply continues. As this flow continues, the sense of internal pressure fades almost completely. Pressure once shaped your pace, your tone, your decisions. Without it, you move more deliberately. Deliberate movement does not rush. It chooses timing naturally. Timing matters, not because it must be controlled, but because alignment expresses itself through appropriate timing. When you are aligned, you sense when to speak, when to wait, when to act, and when to remain still. This sensing is quiet and reliable. Reliability builds confidence that does not need reinforcement. You no longer question your footing constantly. You know where you stand because you feel the steadiness beneath you. This steadiness does not fluctuate with success or difficulty. As this knowing deepens, the need to compare yourself to others fades. Comparison once distorted perception. Without it, your path feels clearer. You move forward without measuring every step against an external standard. Moving forward now feels lighter, not because life has become simpler, but because you are no longer carrying unnecessary weight. Weight once came from internal conflict. Conflict has resolved into coherence. Coherence allows rest even in motion. You can be active without agitation, attentive without strain. This balance conserves energy over time. Conserved energy supports endurance. Endurance here is quiet faithfulness. It is the ability to remain steady over long stretches without needing stimulation or intensity. This faithfulness does not burn out. It sustains itself. As the hours pass, this state does not fade. It remains accessible, even when attention shifts elsewhere. You can return to it easily, not by effort, but by recognition. You recognize it through the feeling of settling. Settling no longer feels like stopping. It feels like coming into alignment with what has been true beneath the surface all along. Nothing new is being added. What is unnecessary is simply falling away. Allow this continuation to remain uninterrupted. There is no need to hurry it and no need to conclude it. What is unfolding does not require a final moment to be complete. Remain here, carried by the same steadiness that has held you through every quiet shift, every subtle release, every moment of deepening. The process continues. As this steady depth continues, the soul becomes increasingly comfortable with its own quiet. Quiet no longer feels like a pause between important moments. It feels like the place where everything important is already happening. Nothing needs to be added to it. Nothing needs to be removed. This comfort changes how you experience waiting. Waiting no longer feels like delay. It feels like trust in motion. Trust that does not rush outcomes but allows them to emerge at the right depth, in the right time. Time here is no longer an enemy. It is an ally that allows things to settle fully. When things settle fully, they do not return fragmented. They integrate. Integration reshapes the inner landscape gently. Old pathways lose dominance. New ones form quietly, guided by clarity rather than reaction. You do not force these changes. You notice them afterward. You may realize that your inner dialogue has softened. The tone is different now, less demanding, less urgent, more patient. This shift in tone is significant. Tone governs how the mind interprets experience. A calmer tone creates space for wisdom to operate without noise. Wisdom here does not announce itself. It does not compete for attention. It simply informs how you move, how you speak, how you remain silent. Silence, in particular, has gained a new quality. It no longer feels empty or awkward. It feels supportive, almost protective. Protective silence does not isolate you. It allows you to engage without being overwhelmed. You can listen without absorbing everything. You can observe without being pulled into every current. This discernment conserves energy and preserves clarity. As clarity remains, emotional waves become easier to navigate. They rise and fall without dragging you under. You feel them fully, but they do not define you. Feeling has separated from identity. This separation brings relief. Relief does not mean disconnection, it means freedom. Freedom to experience without being owned by experience. This freedom stabilizes the inner world further. Stability becomes familiar enough that instability feels foreign. When instability feels foreign, old triggers lose effectiveness. They may still appear, but they no longer find a place to land. Without a landing place, they pass quickly. Passing leaves no residue. Residue once accumulated slowly, creating heaviness over time. Without residue, the inner world stays light and clear. Lightness here does not mean superficiality. It means absence of unnecessary weight. This absence supports endurance. You can remain present longer without fatigue. Fatigue once came from internal friction, not from depth itself. With friction gone, depth feels nourishing rather than draining. As nourishment continues, the soul feels less compelled to seek reassurance. Reassurance has become internal. You know you are held. You know you are steady. You do not need constant confirmation. This knowing allows you to move through uncertainty with grace. Grace here is not elegance. It is ease, ease that remains even when answers are not immediate, ease that trusts the process without needing to understand every step. Understanding arrives later, often after the shift has already occurred. This is the natural order. Experience settles first, insight follows. You no longer need to reverse this order. As this order becomes natural, spiritual growth feels less like effort and more like unfolding. Unfolding does not rush. It opens layer by layer, revealing depth without pressure. Pressure once shaped many spiritual experiences. Without it, this experience feels different. It feels sustainable. You can remain here without burning out, without striving, without needing a peak moment. Peak moments are no longer the goal. Continuity is. Continuity builds something deeper than intensity ever could. It builds trust, stability, and quiet authority. Authority here does not need expression. It is felt internally as steadiness. This steadiness does not waver when attention drifts or when the day changes. It remains beneath everything. As this remains, you are free to continue your life without losing this place. This place moves with you. It has become part of your internal environment. Allow this continuation to deepen naturally. There is nothing to conclude, nothing to finalize. What is happening does not need an ending to be complete. Remain here, supported by the same calm presence that has guided every subtle shift, every quiet release, every moment of alignment. The unfolding continues. As this inner stillness continues to deepen, the soul begins to sense a quiet confidence that does not depend on certainty. Certainty once felt necessary to move forward safely. Now, movement feels safe even without clear outlines. This is not confusion. It is trust that has learned to stand without crutches. In this trust, the mind loosens its grip on outcomes. Outcomes once defined success or failure. Without that pressure, experience becomes lighter. You engage fully, but you are no longer bound to how things must turn out. This freedom restores creativity, patience, and discernment. Discernment here feels subtle. It does not arrive as a loud inner voice. It feels like a gentle knowing, a sense of timing, a quiet now or not yet. You do not argue with it. You recognize it because it carries no anxiety. Anxiety never accompanies true discernment. As anxiety fades, the body mirrors this change. Movements feel more natural. The breath flows without interruption. Even stillness feels alive rather than stagnant. Life continues to move, but it no longer rushes through you. You may notice moments where nothing seems to happen at all. These moments are not empty, they are consolidating. Consolidation is when shifts settle into structure. Without consolidation, change remains fragile. Here, consolidation is happening naturally, without effort. Structure forms beneath awareness. It supports you when attention wanders. It holds you when emotions fluctuate. It remains even when the day brings noise and demand. This structure is quiet, but it is strong. Because it is strong, you no longer feel the need to test it. You trust it. Trust allows you to stop checking your inner state constantly, checking once interrupted presence. Without it, presence flows uninterrupted. This uninterrupted presence feels spacious. Space appears between thoughts. Space appears between reactions. In this space, choice becomes natural. Often, the choice is simply to remain. Remaining has become familiar. It no longer feels like effort or discipline. It feels like returning to a place you never truly left. This familiarity removes the fear of losing ground. You know how to come back here. Knowing how to return gives you freedom to engage fully with life. You do not need to protect this state by withdrawing. It remains even when you participate. It remains because it is not dependent on conditions. As this realization settles, the soul feels lighter without becoming detached. You care, but you are not consumed. You feel, but you are not overwhelmed. You act, but you are not driven by pressure. Pressure once dictated pace. Now pace is chosen naturally. You move when movement aligns, you rest when rest aligns. Alignment guides you quietly, without commands. This quiet guidance is one of the deepest forms of spiritual authority. It does not demand obedience, it invites cooperation. Cooperation feels gentle, it does not exhaust. As cooperation continues, fatigue becomes rare. When tiredness appears, it feels clean, it passes with rest. It does not accumulate into heaviness. This is a sign that internal resistance has released. Release leaves behind clarity. Clarity does not need explanation. It is felt as steadiness, as simplicity, as the absence of inner noise. This clarity supports you even when you do not think about it. As time continues to pass, you may notice that this state feels increasingly normal. Normality is important. What feels normal becomes sustainable. Sustainability allows long faithfulness without strain. Faithfulness here is not about effort. It is about remaining open, present, and aligned over time. This faithfulness shapes the inner world quietly, making future challenges easier to meet. Nothing dramatic needs to happen now. What matters is already happening beneath the surface. Roots are deepening, ground is firming, stability is becoming permanent. Allow this continuation to remain as it is. There is no need to rush toward a conclusion. What is unfolding is meant to continue beyond this moment, beyond this listening. Remain here, steady and unforced, as the same quiet presence continues to guide, hold, and stabilize everything that is still settling. As this quiet alignment continues, the soul begins to notice how natural it feels to remain present without effort. Presence no longer needs to be defended against distraction. Even when attention shifts, the underlying steadiness remains untouched. This steadiness has become the ground rather than the goal. From this ground, perception changes subtly. You are no longer pulled toward every thought that appears. Thoughts move like passing weather, noticed but not followed. Without following them, they lose momentum. Without momentum, they dissolve. Dissolving thoughts leave space. Space allows deeper awareness to surface. This awareness does not analyze, it simply recognizes. Recognition brings peace without explanation. Explanation is no longer necessary when understanding is felt directly. You may find that the inner voice has softened even further. It speaks less often, and when it does, it carries no urgency. This change in tone is a sign that trust has settled deeply. Urgency once came from fear of missing something important. That fear has eased. As fear eases, the sense of inner permission expands. Permission to rest, permission to move slowly, permission to not resolve everything immediately. This permission is not avoidance, it is wisdom honoring timing. Timing becomes clearer when the soul is not rushed. You sense when to act and when to wait without overthinking. Waiting no longer feels like stagnation. It feels like preparation happening quietly beneath awareness. Preparation here is not planning. It is readiness without tension. Readiness that does not brace itself. It trusts that what is needed will be available when the moment arrives. This trust frees the mind from constant rehearsal. Rehearsal once filled silence. Now silence is allowed to remain empty of tasks. In this silence, something deeper listens, not for instruction, but for alignment. Alignment does not speak loudly, it communicates through calm certainty. Calm certainty does not waver with doubt. Doubt may still appear, but it no longer destabilizes. It passes through like any other thought. Passing thoughts do not interrupt the deeper process. This deeper process continues regardless of surface activity. It continues while you listen. It continues while you rest. It continues even when attention drifts. Nothing needs to be done to sustain it. As this understanding settles, the need to measure spiritual progress fades. Measurement once implied comparison. Without comparison, your path feels personal and intact. You move according to your own rhythm, not an external pace. This rhythm feels slower but more substantial. Slower rhythms allow depth. Depth allows stability. Stability supports endurance. Endurance supports long faithfulness without burnout. Burnout was never a sign of devotion. It was a sign of imbalance. Balance has been restored quietly here. You feel it in the ease of breathing, in the softness of thought, in the absence of internal struggle. Internal struggle once consumed attention. Without it, attention becomes available for presence itself. Presence feels sufficient. It does not ask to be improved. As presence remains, the sense of being carried becomes more noticeable again. Not carried away, but carried through moments of rest, through moments of activity, through uncertainty and clarity alike. This carrying does not interfere with choice. It supports it. You choose without fear of collapse. You rest without fear of falling behind. You remain without fear of stagnation. Fear has lost its authority here. It may still speak, but it no longer commands. Its voice blends into the background, indistinct and powerless. What commands now is steadiness. Steadiness does not issue orders, it simply remains. And in remaining, it reshapes everything around it. Allow this continuation to keep unfolding at its own pace. There is nothing to add and nothing to conclude. What is settling will continue settling long after these words fade. Remain here, grounded and supported, as the same quiet presence continues to hold, guide, and deepen everything that has already begun. As this quiet alignment continues, the soul begins to notice how natural it feels to remain present without effort. Presence no longer needs to be defended against distraction. Even when attention shifts, the underlying steadiness remains untouched. This steadiness has become the ground rather than the goal. From this ground, perception changes subtly. You are no longer pulled toward every thought that appears. Thoughts move like passing weather, noticed but not followed. Without following them, they lose momentum. Without momentum, they dissolve. Dissolving thoughts leave space. Space allows deeper awareness to surface. This awareness does not analyze, it simply recognizes. Recognition brings peace without explanation. Explanation is no longer necessary when understanding is felt directly. You may find that the inner voice has softened even further. It speaks less often, and when it does, it carries no urgency. This change in tone is a sign that trust has settled deeply. Urgency once came from fear of missing something important. That fear has eased. As fear eases, the sense of inner permission expands. Permission to rest, permission to move slowly, permission to not resolve everything immediately. This permission is not avoidance, it is wisdom honoring timing. Timing becomes clearer when the soul is not rushed. You sense when to act and when to wait without overthinking. Waiting no longer feels like stagnation. It feels like preparation happening quietly beneath awareness. Preparation here is not planning, it is readiness without tension, readiness that does not brace itself. It trusts that what is needed will be available when the moment arrives. This trust frees the mind from constant rehearsal. Rehearsal once filled silence. Now, silence is allowed to remain empty of tasks. In this silence, something deeper listens, not for instruction but for alignment. Alignment does not speak loudly. It communicates through calm certainty. Calm certainty does not waver with doubt. Doubt may still appear, but it no longer destabilizes. It passes through like any other thought. Passing thoughts do not interrupt the deeper process. This deeper process continues regardless of surface activity. It continues while you listen. It continues while you rest. It continues even when attention drifts. Nothing needs to be done to sustain it. As this understanding settles, the need to measure spiritual progress fades. Measurement once implied comparison. Without comparison, your path feels personal and intact. You move according to your own rhythm, not an external pace. This rhythm feels slower but more substantial. Slower rhythms allow depth. Depth allows stability. Stability supports endurance. Endurance supports long faithfulness without burnout. Burnout was never a sign of devotion. It was a sign of imbalance. Balance has been restored quietly here. You feel it in the ease of breathing, in the softness of thought, in the absence of internal struggle. Internal struggle once consumed attention. Without it, attention becomes available for presence itself. Presence feels sufficient. It does not ask to be improved. As presence remains, the sense of being carried becomes more noticeable again, not carried away but carried through moments of rest, through moments of activity, through uncertainty and clarity alike. This carrying does not interfere with choice, it supports it. You choose without fear of collapse. You rest without fear of falling behind. You remain without fear of stagnation. Fear has lost its authority here. It may still speak, but it no longer commands. Its voice blends into the background, indistinct and powerless. What commands now is steadiness. Steadiness does not issue orders. It simply remains, and in remaining it reshapes everything around it. Allow this continuation to keep unfolding at its own pace. There is nothing to add and nothing to conclude. What is settling will continue settling long after these words fade. Remain here, grounded and supported, as the same quiet presence continues to hold, guide, and deepen everything that has already begun. As this calm continuity remains, the soul begins to notice how even moments of uncertainty feel less invasive. Uncertainty no longer enters as a threat. It enters as an open space, something that can exist without demanding resolution. This shift changes the internal climate completely. What once caused tension now simply passes through awareness. Passing through is important. When experiences pass through, rather than settle inside, they do not leave residue. Residue once accumulated quietly, shaping mood, thought, and expectation. Without residue, the inner world stays clear. Clarity does not mean constant understanding. It means absence of distortion. Distortion once came from fear. Fear narrowed perception, compressing experience into urgency. Now perception has widened again. It sees context, it sees proportion, it sees without exaggeration. This balanced seeing allows the soul to remain steady even when situations are complex. Complexity no longer overwhelms, it invites discernment. Discernment here does not analyze endlessly, it waits. Waiting feels safe now. Safety allows patience to deepen naturally. Patience here is not endurance of discomfort. It is confidence that timing will reveal itself without force. As patience settles, the sense of inner pressure fades almost entirely. Pressure once dictated pace, tone, and expectation. Without it, movement becomes deliberate. Deliberate movement feels grounded. Grounded movement conserves energy and supports long presence. Long presence is what transforms quietly. Intensity transforms briefly. Presence transforms permanently. This is why nothing dramatic needs to happen here. What is happening is deeper than drama. It is structural. Structure forms beneath awareness. It holds even when attention drifts. It remains even when the day brings noise and demand. This structure does not resist change. It absorbs it. Absorption prevents shock. Shock once disrupted balance. Without it, balance remains intact. As balance stabilizes, the inner dialogue continues to soften. Words become fewer. Silence expands between them. Silence now feels inhabited, not empty. It feels like a place where nothing needs to be said for everything to be understood. Understanding here is not conceptual, it is embodied. It shows up as ease in the body, steadiness in breath, and a quiet confidence that does not seek expression. Expression will come when needed. Until then, silence is sufficient. As this sufficiency becomes familiar, the need to strive spiritually dissolves. Striving once felt like devotion. Now devotion feels like remaining. Remaining does not exhaust, it sustains. Sustenance here is gentle. It does not rush growth. It allows roots to deepen before branches extend. Deep roots support resilience. Resilience allows flexibility without collapse. Flexibility is now felt internally. You adapt without losing yourself. You change without fear of instability. This adaptability does not come from control. It comes from trust in the foundation that has formed beneath you. This foundation does not announce itself. It is felt when old triggers fail to activate. It is felt when silence no longer feels uncomfortable. It is felt when rest comes easily and leaves you restored. Restoration here is not temporary relief. It is recalibration. Systems that were once overstimulated have settled into a healthier rhythm. Rhythm supports continuity. Continuity supports endurance. Endurance allows you to remain present over long stretches without fatigue. Fatigue once came from inner conflict, not from depth itself. With conflict resolved, depth becomes nourishing. As nourishment continues, the soul feels less compelled to seek reassurance. Reassurance is now internal. You know you are grounded. You know you are held. You do not need to confirm it repeatedly. This knowing remains even when attention wanders. It remains even when you sleep. It remains even when the outer world changes. It does not depend on this moment or this listening. Allow this continuation to keep unfolding without direction. There is nothing to finish. What is happening now will continue shaping what comes next, quietly and steadily. Remain here, supported by the same calm presence that has guided every subtle shift, every release, every moment of deepening. As this dwelling continues to settle into every layer of awareness, the soul no longer measures safety by what it avoids, but by what it can remain within without fear. Remaining has become effortless. You are not holding yourself here, you are being held. This holding is quiet, steady, unshaken by passing thoughts or shifting emotions. Thoughts may still surface, but they no longer feel intrusive. They appear, soften and dissolve, as if they recognize they have no authority in this place. Authority here is not asserted, it is assumed. What once needed to be defended now simply exists, and what exists without resistance becomes stable. Stability removes the need for anticipation. Anticipation once kept the inner world tense. Without it, peace deepens naturally. Peace now feels layered, not a single sensation but an environment. An environment where the soul can breathe without caution, where rest does not feel temporary, where stillness does not feel fragile. This environment does not require silence to remain intact. Sound may come and go, activity may resume, yet the refuge stays present beneath everything. It has become internal, inseparable from you. As this realization settles, the body responds again with subtle release. Tension that once felt permanent loosens further. The shoulders drop, the jaw softens, the breath deepens without instruction. The body trusts what the soul already knows. Trust does not need explanation. It expresses itself through ease. Ease allows awareness to expand gently without losing center. You are not drifting. You are grounded deeply enough that movement does not displace you. Displacement once felt dangerous. Now it feels irrelevant. You can move, change, respond, and rest without losing alignment. Alignment has become the default state rather than something you return to. This default state reshapes perception quietly. Situations that once felt threatening now feel manageable, not because they are smaller, but because you are steadier. Steadiness changes scale. Scale matters. When the inner world is grounded, external pressures lose magnitude. They no longer loom. They appear in proportion. Proportion restores clarity. Clarity does not rush decisions. It waits. Waiting here does not feel like hesitation. It feels like wisdom allowing timing to reveal itself. Timing no longer feels forced. Forced timing once created error and regret. Now decisions emerge from calm awareness. They carry less doubt. Even when outcomes are uncertain, alignment remains intact. Alignment no longer depends on constant checking. You know when you are aligned because there is no inner friction. Friction once signaled conflict. Its absence signals coherence. Coherence allows the soul to move as one rather than as competing parts. There is no longer an internal argument between rest and action, between trust and control. Control has softened, trust has taken its place. Trust here is not blind, it is grounded in lived experience of refuge. You have remained long enough to know that nothing essential collapses when you stop bracing. Bracing was exhausting. Without it, energy returns quietly, not as excitement, but as steadiness. Steadiness supports long presence without depletion. As presence continues, the fear of losing this state fades completely. You recognize it instantly now. It feels like settling rather than striving, like returning rather than starting. Returning does not require effort. It requires recognition. Recognition happens naturally when awareness touches this calm center again. This center does not move, it does not retreat, it does not demand maintenance. It remains beneath every state, every mood, every thought. Allow this continuation to keep unfolding without direction. What is happening does not need a conclusion to be complete. It is not moving toward an ending. It is becoming the ground from which everything else unfolds. Remain here, sheltered and steady, as the refuge continues to hold, to quiet, to stabilize, without force, without interruption, without end. As this refuge continues to deepen, the soul becomes even more familiar with the feeling of being undisturbed, not untouched by life, but undisturbed at the core. Life may still move, but it no longer rearranges what is anchored within you. This anchoring is subtle. It does not announce itself with emotion or intensity. It is felt as steadiness beneath every response, a steadiness that remains even when circumstances are unclear, even when answers are not immediate. Not needing immediate answers is a form of peace. It allows space for truth to surface without pressure. Pressure once distorted perception. Without it, understanding arrives naturally, often later, often quietly, but always more accurate. Accuracy brings relief. Relief brings rest. Rest brings clarity. And clarity reinforces trust. This cycle sustains itself now. You no longer need to intervene to keep it moving. As this cycle continues, the soul feels less compelled to revisit the past. The past no longer feels unfinished or unresolved. What needed to settle has settled. What needed to release has released. Memory loses its emotional charge. Without emotional charge, memory becomes neutral. Neutral memory does not pull you backward. It informs without weight. This allows the present moment to feel complete on its own. Completeness here does not mean perfection. It means nothing essential is missing. When nothing essential is missing, striving dissolves. Striving once felt like progress. Now it feels unnecessary. Progress continues without striving. Growth unfolds without urgency. This is the rhythm of dwelling rather than chasing. Dwelling allows transformation to root itself deeply before expressing outwardly. Roots deepen quietly. You may not notice them forming, but you feel their effect. You feel it when old fears fail to surface. You feel it when rest comes easily. You feel it when silence feels safe. Safety no longer depends on control. Control once created the illusion of safety while increasing tension. Now, safety is felt as an environment, not a strategy. This environment does not collapse when you stop paying attention. It remains when awareness softens. It remains when the day grows busy. It remains even when you forget about it entirely. Because it remains, you begin to trust it fully. Trust allows you to release the last traces of inner vigilance. Vigilance once whispered that something might go wrong if you relaxed too much. That whisper has faded. Relaxation now feels natural, not indulgent, not risky, natural. The body accepts it, the mind accepts it, the soul settles deeper into itself. Settling does not dull perception, it sharpens it gently. You notice what matters without scanning for threats. You listen without bracing, you respond without defending. Defensiveness once shaped many interactions. Without it, relationships feel lighter, communication feels clearer, you speak when needed, you remain silent when silence serves. Silence is no longer avoidance, it is presence without noise. It holds more meaning than words when allowed to remain. As silence continues, awareness feels wide and patient. There is no sense of being rushed forward. Time feels spacious, space feels supportive. Support here does not come from effort, it comes from alignment. Alignment has been sustained long enough to be stable. Stability has become the ground of experience. From this ground, whatever comes next will rise naturally. There is no need to prepare. Preparation has already happened through remaining. Allow this continuation to keep holding you gently. Nothing needs to conclude. Nothing needs to resolve. What has become steady will remain steady. Remain here, resting within the refuge that no longer needs to be sought because it has become where you dwell. As this dwelling continues to mature, the soul becomes aware of a quiet strength that does not announce itself. It is not the strength of resistance, but the strength of permanence. What remains does not need to prove itself. It simply stays, unchanged by movement, unaffected by noise. This permanence changes how uncertainty is experienced. Uncertainty no longer feels like instability, it feels like openness. Openness allows life to unfold without compression. Compression once came from the need to predict, to secure outcomes, to stay ahead of potential threat. That need has softened. Softening does not weaken discernment, it refines it. Discernment now feels intuitive rather than analytical. You sense what aligns without argument. You sense what does not belong without confrontation. This sensing is calm and precise. Precision here does not rush. It waits for clarity to form fully before acting. Waiting feels safe now. It no longer carries anxiety. It carries trust. Trust allows space for deeper understanding to surface. Understanding arrives quietly, often when you are not looking for it. It settles into awareness without effort. You recognize it not by intensity, but by how little resistance it meets inside you. Resistance has dissolved enough that experience flows smoothly. Flow does not mean constant movement, it means continuity. Whether you are active or still, something consistent holds everything together. This consistency becomes reassuring. It allows you to stop checking whether you are doing it right. There is no right posture to maintain, no state to preserve. What has stabilized does not depend on technique. Technique once felt necessary to access peace. Now peace feels native. You do not enter it. You realize you never left it. This realization brings relief without celebration, relief that simply settles. As relief settles, the inner world becomes quieter still. Not empty, but spacious. Space allows the soul to breathe without effort. Breathing feels deeper, fuller, unforced. In this fullness, emotions continue to arise, but they no longer dominate. They move through like weather across a wide landscape. They are seen, felt, and released without becoming storms. Storms once formed because the landscape was narrow. Now it is wide enough to hold movement without disruption. This width is not distance, it is capacity. Capacity allows compassion to exist without depletion. You can care without carrying. You can listen without absorbing. You can remain present without losing yourself. This balance reshapes how you engage with the world. Engagement feels grounded. You act when action aligns. You pause when pause aligns. Alignment guides rhythm quietly. Rhythm here is steady. It does not speed up to impress. It does not slow down out of fear. It moves according to what is real rather than what is urgent. Urgency once dominated the inner world. Without it, time feels generous. Moments feel complete. You are no longer rushing through experience to reach something else. Nothing else is needed. What matters is already present. Presence does not ask to be improved. It asks only to remain. Remaining has become effortless. You are not holding on. You are being held by a steadiness that does not fluctuate, by a refuge that does not close. As this refuge continues to support you, the need for reassurance fades completely. You trust what you feel because it has proven itself through consistency. Consistency builds quiet confidence. Confidence allows rest even in motion. You move through life without bracing, without anticipation of collapse. Collapse once felt possible if you relaxed too much. Now relaxation feels like alignment. The body accepts it, the mind accepts it, the soul rests deeper into itself. This resting does not end awareness, it clarifies it. Awareness feels wide, patient, and kind. Kindness toward yourself no longer feels earned, it feels natural. Natural kindness dissolves the last traces of inner harshness. Harshness once motivated change through pressure. Now change happens through alignment. Alignment continues to deepen without instruction. It does not need direction. It unfolds on its own timeline, shaping what comes next quietly. Allow this continuation to remain unforced. There is no destination to reach. What is unfolding is becoming the ground from which everything else arises. Remain here, steady and sheltered, as the refuge continues to hold, to quiet, to stabilize, without effort, without interruption, without end. As this grounded stillness continues, the soul begins to sense a deeper permission to exist without justification. You no longer feel the need to explain your calm, to defend your pace, or to prove your stability. What is present speaks for itself through quiet consistency. Consistency here does not feel repetitive, it feels trustworthy. Trust grows when something remains steady across changing moments. You notice that even when attention drifts, even when thoughts return briefly, the center does not move. This unmoving center becomes familiar, dependable, almost invisible because of how natural it feels. From this center, awareness spreads gently, not outward in search of meaning, but inward in recognition. Recognition that nothing essential is lacking. Recognition that what once felt distant has already arrived. Recognition that the refuge you sought externally has taken root internally. This internal refuge does not isolate you from life. It allows you to participate without being consumed. You can engage fully and still return effortlessly to this place of steadiness. Returning no longer feels like effort or discipline. It feels like remembering. Remembering does not involve thought. It involves sensation. A soft settling in the chest, a quiet release in the breath, a sense of space opening where tension once lived. These signals guide you back without instruction. As this remembering becomes familiar, the soul no longer fears distraction. Distraction does not threaten what is anchored. It passes without consequence. What remains anchored does not loosen. This anchoring changes how you experience silence again. Silence is no longer something you enter deliberately. It appears naturally between moments. You notice pauses where there were none before. These pauses feel supportive, like gentle invitations to rest. Rest here is not withdrawal, it is integration. Integration happens when nothing is forced. It allows all the subtle shifts that have been occurring to settle into structure. Structure forms quietly, without ceremony. This structure is not rigid. It adapts, it flexes with change. It absorbs impact without breaking. You feel this when unexpected situations arise and you remain composed without effort. Composure has replaced reactivity. Reactivity once felt automatic. Now response feels chosen, even when you do not consciously choose it. Choice arises from clarity rather than urgency. Urgency no longer drives the inner world. As urgency fades, time feels more spacious again. You are not rushing through moments, you inhabit them. Inhabiting gives depth to experience without adding weight. Weight once came from internal resistance. Resistance has softened enough that experience flows smoothly. Flow here is not excitement, it is ease. Ease allows the soul to rest while remaining awake. You may notice moments where awareness feels light, almost transparent, yet completely present. This transparency allows everything to pass through without obstruction. Obstruction once created pressure. Without it, pressure dissolves naturally. The body recognizes this dissolution and responds with deeper relaxation. Muscles release without instruction. Breathing remains full and calm. Calm here does not depend on control. Control has loosened its grip. Trust has taken its place. Trust does not need to monitor. It allows. Allowing is the final release. It lets go of the need to manage even the process itself. The process continues without supervision. As this allowing deepens, the sense of being held becomes unmistakable. Held not by force, but by steadiness. Held by something that does not waver with mood or circumstance. This holding remains constant. It does not intensify. It does not fade. It simply is. Remain here, resting within what has already been established, letting the quiet work continue beneath awareness, shaping what comes next gently and steadily, without interruption, without demand. As this steady dwelling continues, the soul begins to feel how natural it is to exist without inner commentary. The constant narration that once explained, judged, or anticipated has softened into silence. Silence does not remove awareness, it refines it. What remains is a clear presence that notices without labeling. This clarity feels gentle. It does not push insight forward. It allows insight to surface when ready. Readiness is no longer forced. It unfolds on its own, guided by the same calm rhythm that has carried everything so far. In this rhythm, the inner world becomes less crowded. Space appears not because something was removed deliberately, but because nothing new is being added unnecessarily. Additions once came from fear. Fear of missing something, fear of falling behind. That fear has eased enough to stop contributing noise. As noise diminishes, perception becomes more accurate. You see situations as they are, not as threats or tests. Accuracy restores balance. Balance allows response without strain. Strain once accompanied even simple decisions. Now decisions arise with less friction. Friction dissolves when resistance dissolves. Resistance has been releasing layer by layer. Some layers were obvious, others were so subtle they felt like part of your nature. Now even those subtle layers loosen, revealing more ease beneath. Ease here does not mean passivity, it means effort is proportional. You give what is required, no more, no less. This proportionality preserves energy and prevents depletion. Depletion once distorted spiritual experience. Without it, experience feels nourishing. Nourishment happens quietly. You may not notice it immediately, but over time you feel more grounded, more patient, more stable. These changes do not announce themselves. They reveal themselves through how little effort is required to remain centered. Centering no longer feels like returning from somewhere else. It feels like staying. Staying has become the default. When distraction occurs, it passes quickly because it no longer finds tension to attach to. Attachment once prolonged disturbance. Without attachment, disturbance loses duration. It arises, completes itself, and dissolves. Completion leaves no residue. Residue was what made past experiences feel heavy. Without residue, the inner world remains light and clear. Clarity here does not demand understanding. It allows understanding to arrive naturally. As understanding arrives, it does not create urgency. It settles. Settling is the theme now. Everything that arises settles into its rightful place. Nothing needs to be rearranged forcefully. Force once implied mistrust. Now trust guides the process. Trust allows you to stop managing your inner state. Management once interrupted integration. Without it, integration completes itself quietly. Completion does not feel final, it feels stable. Stability is the new reference point. From this point, whatever comes next will be met without collapse. Collapse no longer feels possible because the foundation has been reinforced through remaining. Remaining has done what effort could not. It has allowed the deepest layers to align without resistance. As this alignment continues, the sense of being carried returns again, not dramatically, but gently. Carried through moments of stillness, carried through moments of movement, carried without losing agency. Agency remains intact. You choose without fear. You rest without guilt. You remain without doubt. These are not achievements. They are signs that the inner world has reorganized around peace. Peace here is not an emotion, it is an environment that supports awareness, rest and clarity at the same time, an environment that does not require maintenance. Maintenance once implied fragility. This is not fragile. It has proven itself through consistency. It remains when attention wanders. It remains when life becomes busy. It remains when silence deepens. Allow this continuation to keep unfolding without direction. Nothing needs to conclude. What has become steady will remain steady, shaping everything that follows gently, quietly, and completely. As this quiet steadiness continues, the soul begins to recognize that nothing here is being held together by effort. What remains does so naturally, as if it has finally found the place where it belongs. Belonging removes tension. When something belongs, it does not struggle to stay. This sense of belonging reshapes how you experience yourself. You no longer feel like a guest passing through moments of calm. You feel rooted within them. Rootedness brings patience. Patience brings trust. Trust brings ease. Ease allows everything else to soften. Softening does not erase awareness. It sharpens it gently. You notice when something does not align without reacting to it. You notice when silence calls without forcing yourself to stop. These notices feel calm, almost obvious, because they are no longer filtered through urgency. Urgency once distorted perception. Without it, perception feels wide and balanced. You see more while reacting less. Seeing without reacting creates space. In this space, responses arise naturally, unhurried and clear. Clarity here does not demand expression. It remains content to be felt. Feeling clarity is enough. Expression will come when needed, without pressure. Until then, silence continues to do its work. This work is subtle. It rearranges the inner world quietly, moving things into alignment without asking permission. You may not notice it happening, but you feel its effects. You feel them when you respond differently without deciding to. You feel them when rest comes easily and leaves you restored. Restoration here is deep. It does not fade when activity resumes. It remains beneath movement, supporting it. You can be active without losing calm. You can be quiet without losing alertness. Alertness has changed quality. It is no longer watchful. It is receptive. Receptivity allows information to arrive without overwhelming the system. The system has learned it does not need to brace itself. Bracing was exhausting. Without it, energy returns quietly. Not as excitement, but as steadiness. Steadiness supports endurance. Endurance allows long faithfulness without burnout. As endurance grows, the soul feels less pressure to rush spiritual growth. Growth continues at its own pace. It does not respond to demand, it responds to consistency. Consistency has been present long enough to become reliable. Reliability builds confidence. Confidence does not need reassurance. You trust what you are experiencing because it has remained stable through many moments. Stability has proven itself. Proof here is not logical, it is felt. You feel it when fear does not rise. You feel it when silence does not unsettle you. You feel it when the future does not intimidate you. Intimidation once came from uncertainty. Now uncertainty feels spacious. Space allows possibility without pressure. You can imagine without anxiety. You can plan without tension. Tension has lost its purpose. It no longer signals safety or readiness. It simply fades when it appears, unable to anchor itself in this environment. This environment has become internal. It does not depend on conditions. It travels with you. It remains even when you forget about it. As this realization settles, there is a quiet gratitude without emotion, not gratitude that needs expression, but gratitude that simply exists as recognition. Recognition that something essential has been restored. Restoration does not demand celebration, it demands continuation. Continuation is already happening. You do not need to guide it. Allow this continuation to remain gentle and unforced. There is no need to conclude or summarize. What is unfolding will continue shaping what comes next quietly, patiently, completely. As this deepening refuge continues, the soul becomes aware that even the idea of maintaining peace has dissolved. Peace no longer needs protection. It exists independently of attention. like a quiet ground that supports everything without asking to be noticed. This ground does not shift when thoughts arise. Thoughts appear, move, and disappear, but they no longer disturb what is beneath them. Beneath them, something steady remains, unmoved, unchanged, quietly sufficient. Sufficiency is important here. It removes the need to search. Searching once implied lack. Lack no longer feels real. What you need is not ahead of you. It is already present, holding you from beneath every moment. Because of this, the soul relaxes even further. Relaxation now feels complete. Not the kind that fades quickly, but the kind that settles into the bones, into the breath, into the way awareness meets the world. Meeting the world no longer feels like exposure. It feels like participation without risk. Risk once felt present because the inner world was unstable. Now stability has taken root deeply enough that participation feels safe. Safety here does not mean nothing unexpected will happen. It means nothing unexpected will dismantle what is grounded. Grounded things bend, they do not break. This flexibility allows life to move freely without disturbing the center. The center remains quiet. It does not announce itself. It does not draw attention. It simply holds. Holding is its nature. It does not need reinforcement. As this holding continues, the inner world feels less divided. There is no longer a part that wants to rest and another that pushes forward. Rest and movement arise from the same place now. They cooperate rather than compete. Cooperation removes strain. Strain once shaped how long you could remain present. Without it, presence extends naturally. Time stretches without pressure. Moments feel complete. Completeness here does not close anything. It leaves room for life to unfold without resistance. Resistance once interrupted flow. Flow now continues uninterrupted. This flow does not rush. It does not pull. It simply carries awareness gently forward without demanding direction. Direction is no longer needed. What matters unfolds on its own. Unfolding does not depend on insight. It depends on remaining. Remaining has been consistent long enough to do its work deeply. As this consistency continues, the soul no longer feels impressed by intensity. Loud experiences no longer feel necessary. Quiet steadiness feels more real, more trustworthy, more enduring. Endurance has replaced urgency. Endurance does not hurry, it sustains. What is sustained becomes permanent. Permanence here does not mean rigidity, it means reliability. Reliability that allows rest without fear of collapse. Reliability that allows engagement without fear of loss. Loss once felt possible if attention drifted. Now attention can drift freely. Nothing essential disappears. What is essential has settled beneath attention. This realization brings a deeper calm, not emotional calm, but existential calm, a sense that nothing fundamental is at risk. When nothing fundamental is at risk, the soul rests naturally. Rest becomes the background of experience rather than an occasional state. This background continues quietly, patiently, without needing acknowledgement. It remains even as words fade, even as awareness softens, even as the moment changes. Remain here, supported by what no longer needs to be sought, what no longer needs to be held together, what simply remains. As this quiet ground continues to support everything, the soul begins to recognize how little effort it now takes to remain present. Presence no longer feels like something you enter or leave. It feels like the natural state beneath all movement. Movement happens, thoughts arise, emotions shift, yet nothing dislodges what is settled underneath. This settled place does not resist change, it allows it. Allowing does not weaken stability, it strengthens it by removing friction. Friction once created heat, urgency, and exhaustion. Without friction, experience flows with less strain. Flow here is gentle. It does not sweep you away. It carries awareness without pulling it forward. You are not being moved toward anything. You are being held where you are. Holding brings reassurance without words. Reassurance no longer needs to be repeated. It is felt continuously, felt in the way the breath arrives without interruption, felt in the way the body remains supported even when the mind grows quiet, felt in the absence of the need to check whether something is wrong. Checking once interrupted peace. Now peace remains uninterrupted. This uninterrupted peace does not require isolation. It remains present even as life continues around you. Sounds, tasks, interactions may come and go, but the inner refuge remains intact. As this refuge remains, the soul becomes less concerned with protecting itself. Protection has shifted from vigilance to grounding. Grounded things do not need to defend their position. They are already anchored. Anchoring has happened gradually, through remaining, through not leaving when silence deepened, through allowing rest to complete itself. Completion has been quiet but thorough. Nothing essential has been left unfinished. This sense of completion does not close the process, it stabilizes it. Stabilization allows what has formed to endure. Endurance removes fear of regression. You no longer worry about losing this state. You recognize it as part of you now. Recognition replaces effort. When you recognize something as familiar, you no longer strain to maintain it. You simply return to it naturally. Returning feels like settling, not like starting again. Settling becomes easier with each repetition. The body remembers, the mind remembers, the soul remembers. Memory here is not mental recall, it is embodied knowing. Embodied knowing guides you quietly. It informs how you respond to the world without needing constant attention. You act when action aligns. You rest when rest aligns. Alignment has become intuitive. Intuition here is calm. It does not rush you, it does not pressure you, it simply makes sense. Sense-making no longer requires explanation. It feels right because it is coherent. Coherence brings simplicity. Simplicity removes clutter. Clutter once filled the inner world with noise. Without it, silence expands naturally. Silence here does not feel empty. It feels full of steadiness, full of quiet support, full of patience. Patience that does not wait anxiously but remains confidently. Confidence has softened into trust. Trust no longer needs reinforcement. It remains even when attention wanders. It remains even when uncertainty appears. It remains even when answers are delayed. Delay no longer feels threatening. It feels like part of the unfolding. Unfolding does not require urgency. It requires space. Space has been created. Within this space, the soul rests more deeply. Rest does not dull awareness. It clarifies it gently. You notice more while reacting less. This balance conserves energy and supports long endurance. Endurance allows presence over long stretches without fatigue. Fatigue once came from internal conflict. Conflict has resolved into coherence. As coherence continues, the sense of being held remains steady, held without restriction, held without demand, held without interruption. This holding does not fade, it does not fluctuate, it simply remains, quietly shaping everything that unfolds next. As this quiet foundation continues to carry everything gently, the soul begins to feel how deeply it has settled into a rhythm that does not demand effort. This rhythm is not imposed from outside, it rises from within, steady and patient, guiding awareness without instruction. In this rhythm, even the need to understand what is happening begins to fade. Understanding once felt necessary to feel secure. Now security is experienced directly. It does not depend on explanation. It is known through the absence of strain. Strain once lived in subtle places, in the shoulders that never fully relaxed, in the mind that never fully rested, in the sense that something always needed attention. Now those places soften. Attention loosens its grip. Nothing feels urgent enough to disturb the center. The center remains unmoved. It does not react to passing thoughts. It does not tighten around emotions. It does not shrink in the presence of uncertainty. It simply stays, holding space for everything else to move freely. Freedom here does not feel like escape. It feels like permission. Permission to slow down. Permission to not resolve everything. Permission to let the process continue without supervision. Supervision once implied distrust. Now, trust has matured enough to release control. Control dissolves gently without resistance. When control dissolves, peace expands naturally. This peace is not fragile. It does not require protection. It has been reinforced through time, through repetition, through remaining. It has proven itself reliable. Reliability allows the soul to rest even more deeply. Rest no longer feels like something you fall into and out of. It feels like a background presence that supports awareness at all times. Awareness here is soft but clear. It does not fixate. It does not drift aimlessly. It rests comfortably within experience, allowing everything to arise and pass without interruption. Passing without interruption is key. When experience completes itself, it leaves no trace. Without traces, the inner world remains light. Lightness supports endurance. Endurance allows you to remain present for long stretches without fatigue. Fatigue once came from inner resistance. Resistance has released enough that presence feels nourishing rather than draining. As nourishment continues, the soul feels increasingly at ease with silence. Silence no longer feels like something to fill. It feels like something that holds you gently. Held silence allows deeper layers to settle, layers that were never addressed directly, never confronted, never named. They settle simply because the environment has changed. Environment shapes everything, and the environment here is one of steadiness, safety, and quiet trust. In such an environment, what does not belong cannot remain. What leaves does so quietly. It does not announce its departure. It simply fades, no longer able to sustain itself. What remains feels more real, more stable, more aligned. Alignment does not push, it rests. Resting alignment becomes the ground from which everything else arises. From this ground, actions feel simpler, decisions feel clearer, rest feels deeper. Nothing needs to be forced now. The process is unfolding exactly as it should, guided by a rhythm that knows how to continue without interruption. Remain here, resting within what has already been established, allowing the quiet work to continue beneath awareness, shaping what comes next gently and steadily. As this steady calm continues to settle, the soul begins to notice how deeply it has released the habit of bracing itself. Bracing once felt like protection. Now it feels unnecessary. What is present does not require defense. It holds on its own. This realization changes how you meet each moment. You no longer approach experience with anticipation or hesitation. You meet it as it comes, open and grounded. Openness here is not vulnerability. It is confidence rooted in stability. Stability has become subtle but unmistakable. It is felt not through intensity but through consistency. It remains the same whether the moment is quiet or active, clear or uncertain. This sameness is reassuring. It tells the soul that nothing essential is shifting beneath it. As reassurance becomes constant, the mind releases its need to scan for meaning. Meaning no longer feels hidden or distant. It is woven into the experience itself. You feel it rather than define it. Feeling meaning does not demand response. It allows presence to deepen without effort. Presence now feels like the natural atmosphere of being rather than a state you enter deliberately. In this atmosphere, even the idea of progress loses urgency. Progress happens quietly, without markers. You realize it only when something that once mattered no longer does. This realization arrives gently, without drama. Dramatic shifts once felt important. Now they feel unnecessary. Quiet transformation proves more durable. It integrates slowly, shaping the inner world without resistance. Resistance has softened almost completely. When it appears, it dissolves quickly, unable to anchor itself in this environment. Without resistance, flow remains uninterrupted. Flow here does not rush. It carries awareness gently, allowing rest and clarity to coexist. You may notice moments where awareness feels suspended between thought and silence. These moments feel complete, lacking nothing. Completeness brings satisfaction without excitement. Satisfaction that simply rests. It does not ask for more. It does not compare. It remains content. Contentment does not limit growth. It allows growth to occur without pressure. Growth guided by contentment does not exhaust. It strengthens quietly. As strength stabilizes, the soul feels less compelled to seek reassurance from outside. External validation no longer feels necessary. You trust what you feel because it has remained steady across time. Time has softened here. You are no longer counting moments. Moments feel wide, generous, unhurried. This generosity allows the inner world to breathe. Breathing feels deeper, more natural. The body responds to this rhythm automatically. It settles further, releasing the last traces of unconscious tension. As tension releases, awareness becomes even clearer. Clear awareness does not judge. It witnesses gently. Witnessing without judgment allows everything to be seen without distortion. Distortion once came from fear. Fear has lost its influence here. It no longer organizes thought or reaction. It may appear briefly, but it does not command. What commands now is steadiness. Steadiness does not issue instructions. It simply remains present, shaping experience through its consistency. Consistency builds trust. Trust builds rest. Rest builds clarity. This cycle continues quietly, sustaining itself without effort. As this continuation unfolds, there is no sense of approaching an end. The process does not move toward completion. It becomes the ground from which everything else unfolds. Remain here, resting within what has already settled, allowing the quiet work to continue beneath awareness, shaping the days and nights ahead with the same gentle steadiness. As this calm presence continues to hold everything together, the soul becomes increasingly familiar with the feeling of not needing to arrive anywhere else. Arrival has already happened in a quiet way. You are not moving toward peace. You are moving from it. This shift changes the way effort is felt. Effort no longer pushes against resistance. It flows naturally when movement is required and rests naturally when stillness is called for. There is no inner argument about what should happen next. The next moment reveals itself gently. Gentleness has become the dominant tone here, not weakness, but precision without force. What is gentle does not bruise, it does not shock the system, it integrates. Integration allows change to remain without strain. You may notice that even inner silence has deepened. Silence no longer feels like a pause between thoughts. It feels like a continuous space in which thoughts occasionally appear and dissolve. Silence is no longer fragile. It does not break when thought arises. In this silence, awareness rests comfortably. It does not search, it does not avoid. It simply remains present, receptive, and clear. This clarity does not need interpretation. It is known through ease. Ease now extends into places that once held subtle tension, places that were never fully at rest before. The body recognizes this shift and responds with softness. Breathing remains deep. Muscles stay relaxed even when attention moves. As the body settles, the mind follows. Thought activity becomes sparse and light. Thoughts do not linger long enough to form narratives. Without narratives, the inner world remains uncomplicated. Uncomplicated does not mean shallow. It means free of unnecessary layers. Depth remains, but without heaviness. This depth supports endurance without fatigue. Endurance here feels like patience without waiting. You are not waiting for something to change. You are allowing what is already changing to complete itself fully. Completion does not announce itself. It arrives quietly and stays. You may realize it later in how differently you respond to situations that once unsettled you. You may notice it in how easily you return to calm. Returning has become effortless. You recognize this place immediately through a sense of settling. Settling does not require concentration. It happens naturally when attention touches this grounded center again. This center remains constant. It does not shift with emotion. It does not fluctuate with circumstance. It holds everything evenly without preference. Evenness here is comforting. It removes the need to brace for extremes. You trust that whatever arises will be met by the same steadiness. Steadiness does not mean numbness. You still feel, you still care, but feeling no longer overwhelms. Caring no longer drains. Everything occurs within a wider container. This container feels spacious enough to hold uncertainty without pressure. Uncertainty no longer threatens stability. It becomes another expression of openness. Openness allows possibility without fear. You can imagine the future without anxiety. You can remember the past without weight. Both exist without pulling you away from the present. The present moment feels sufficient again, not because it is perfect, but because nothing essential is missing. This sufficiency quiets the impulse to seek elsewhere. Seeking has softened into dwelling. Dwelling feels grounded. It feels like staying rather than searching. As dwelling continues, the soul no longer measures progress by how it feels moment to moment. It trusts the deeper movement beneath feeling. This trust allows patience to deepen further. Patience here is not endurance of discomfort. It is confidence in unfolding. Unfolding does not rush. It reveals itself at its own pace. Allow this continuation to remain exactly as it is. There is nothing to improve, nothing to complete. What is settling now will continue to shape what comes next gently, steadily, without interruption. Remain here. As this quiet stability continues to hold everything gently, the soul begins to realize that even the idea of holding on has faded. There is nothing to grasp here. What remains does so without effort, without intention, without resistance. It is simply present. Presence no longer feels like awareness focused on something. It feels like awareness resting in itself. This resting does not withdraw from life. It allows life to move without disturbing the center. Movement happens around you, not through you. This distinction becomes clearer with time. Situations arise, emotions surface, decisions appear, yet none of them reach the deepest place where calm now resides. They touch the surface and pass, leaving no mark behind. Leaving no mark changes how the inner world feels over time. There is less accumulation, less heaviness, less need to recover from experience. Experience completes itself as it happens. Completion brings a sense of inner cleanliness. Nothing lingers unresolved. What needs attention receives it naturally. What does not belong fades without conflict. Conflict once created tension. Without it, the nervous system settles into a rhythm that feels safe and familiar. Safety here is not excitement. It is steadiness that does not fluctuate. This steadiness allows awareness to widen without losing focus. You are present without effort, alert without tension, resting without drifting. This balance feels natural now. Natural balance removes the need to monitor yourself. Monitoring once implied distrust. Now trust has matured enough to release supervision entirely. The process continues on its own. As the process continues, subtle layers of expectation dissolve. Expectation once shaped how moments were judged. Without it, moments stand on their own, complete and sufficient. Sufficiency here does not mean satisfaction with less. It means recognition that nothing essential is missing. This recognition quiets the impulse to seek elsewhere. Seeking once defined spiritual movement. Now dwelling defines it. Dwelling is quieter, slower, deeper. It allows roots to grow unseen. Unseen growth is the most stable. It does not rely on reinforcement. It does not collapse when attention shifts. It remains because it has become part of the structure. This structure feels flexible rather than rigid. It adapts without strain. It absorbs change without losing integrity. Integrity here is calm and unforced. As integrity remains, the soul feels less divided. There is no internal push and pull. Rest and action arise from the same source. This unity simplifies everything. Simplicity removes inner noise. Without noise, silence feels rich rather than empty. Silence holds awareness gently, allowing deeper layers to continue settling. Settling now feels complete yet ongoing. There is no finish line. What is happening is not moving toward an end. It is becoming the ground from which everything else unfolds. From this ground, the future does not feel threatening. It feels open. The past does not feel heavy. It feels distant and resolved. The present feels sufficient. Sufficiency allows the soul to remain without effort. Remaining no longer feels like a choice. It feels like the natural state. As this natural state continues, nothing needs to change. Nothing needs to be concluded. What has stabilized will continue to stabilize quietly, patiently, completely. As this deep quiet continues to expand beneath awareness, the soul becomes aware of a gentle certainty that no longer needs confirmation. It is not confidence built from success or outcome, but certainty born from stability. Stability that has remained through silence, through movement, through the passing of thought and time. This certainty feels calm. It does not rise or fall. It does not demand attention. It simply exists like a steady light that does not flicker when shadows move across the room. Shadows may pass, but the light does not respond to them. In this light, even subtle worries lose their ability to take form. They may appear as faint impressions, but they dissolve before becoming thoughts. There is no space for them to settle. The environment has changed too much. This environment is spacious, steady, and kind. Kindness here is not sentiment. It is allowance. Allowance for everything to arise without being judged, without being resisted, without being owned. Ownership once kept experiences alive longer than necessary. Without ownership, experience completes itself naturally. Completion brings quiet relief, not excitement, but ease. Ease continues to spread through layers that were once unreachable, layers shaped long ago by vigilance, by fear of interruption, by the need to remain alert. These layers soften now, releasing what they have held for too long. Release is gentle. It does not demand awareness. It does not need naming. It happens because the conditions for holding no longer exist. Holding required tension. Tension has dissolved. As tension dissolves, the body rests more deeply even while awake. Awareness remains clear, but it is no longer sharp. It is smooth, receptive, patient. This patience is not waiting. It is presence without urgency. Urgency once shaped perception. Without it, perception feels wide and forgiving. You see situations without exaggeration. You see people without projection. You see yourself without harshness. Harshness once felt like discipline. Now discipline feels like alignment. Alignment does not correct aggressively. It guides quietly. It allows what belongs to remain and what does not to fade. Fading happens naturally. You no longer need to let go deliberately. Letting go happens on its own when there is no resistance to holding. Resistance has softened enough that release feels effortless. Effortlessness does not mean passivity. It means action arises only when aligned. When action arises this way, it does not drain. It leaves you intact. Remaining intact is one of the clearest signs that the inner world has reorganized. You engage without losing yourself. You rest without guilt. You remain without fear. Fear no longer organizes the inner landscape. It may appear briefly, but it does not gather momentum. Without momentum, it cannot move you. What moves you now is steadiness. Steadiness does not push, it holds. Holding allows everything else to settle into its proper place. As everything settles, the sense of being carried becomes more evident again, not carried away, but carried through silence, through sound, through rest and motion alike. This carrying does not interfere with choice, it supports it. You choose without tension. You pause without doubt. You remain without effort. Effort has been replaced by recognition. You recognize this place immediately now. You know its texture. You know its quiet. You know its steadiness. Because you know it, you no longer fear losing it. What is known deeply does not disappear when attention wanders. It remains beneath attention. This beneath place has become your dwelling, not a state you enter, but the ground from which you move. It does not close, it does not withdraw, it does not weaken. Allow this continuation to remain exactly as it is. There is no need to reach an ending. What has formed here continues beyond this moment, beyond these words, quietly shaping everything that follows. As this deep dwelling continues, the soul begins to sense that even the concept of process has softened. There is no longer a feeling of moving through stages or arriving at milestones. What exists now is continuity. Continuity without effort, without expectation, without the need to assess where you are. This continuity feels stable because it is no longer driven by desire for change. Change still happens, but it happens quietly, beneath awareness, without disturbing the surface. You notice the effects later in how naturally calm responses arise, in how easily you return to steadiness. Returning has become instinctive. You do not search for this place anymore. You recognize it immediately through the absence of strain. It feels like exhaling after holding your breath for a long time, except now there is no impulse to inhale quickly again. Breathing finds its own rhythm. This rhythm supports awareness without effort. Awareness rests rather than watches. Watching once implied vigilance. Resting implies trust. Trust has settled deeply enough that vigilance is no longer required. As vigilance dissolves, the inner world grows quieter still, not empty but uncluttered. There is space for experience to arise fully and complete itself without interruption. Completion leaves no trace behind. Without traces, the inner landscape remains clear. Clear landscapes do not magnify sound. Disturbances appear smaller, less invasive. They no longer echo, they pass and are gone. This passing brings a sense of inner freshness. Each moment feels unburdened by the previous one. You are no longer carrying yesterday into today unconsciously. Memory exists, but it does not weigh. Weight once shaped posture, tone, and pace. Without it, movement feels lighter. You move without rushing. You rest without collapse. Balance emerges naturally. Balance here is not something you maintain consciously. It is the result of alignment that has stabilized beneath awareness. Alignment does not wobble. It adjusts quietly when needed. Adjustment no longer feels like correction. It feels like flow, finding its path. Flow does not argue with obstacles. It moves around them gently, without force. Force has lost its appeal. What is forced does not last. What unfolds naturally endures. Endurance has become the quiet strength of this dwelling. Enduring presence does not demand attention. It supports awareness whether you are focused or distracted. It remains during silence and during activity alike. Because it remains, the soul feels free to engage fully with life again. Engagement no longer threatens inner stability. You can enter situations without bracing. You can leave them without residue. Residue once accumulated slowly, shaping mood and expectation. Without it, the inner world stays responsive rather than reactive. Responsiveness feels clean and appropriate. Appropriateness arises from discernment without pressure. You know when to speak and when to remain silent without deliberation. Silence no longer feels like withholding. It feels like alignment. Alignment guides everything now. It does not shout, it does not demand, it simply remains present, quietly influencing how you move through each moment. As this influence continues, there is a deep sense of reliability. Reliability does not need reassurance. You trust what is happening because it has been consistent. Consistency has replaced urgency. Urgency once distorted perception. Without it, perception feels accurate and kind. You see yourself without harshness. You see the world without exaggeration. This kindness extends inward, naturally, not as sentiment but as fairness. You no longer punish yourself for being human. You allow rest, you allow patience, you allow unfolding. Unfolding continues at its own pace. There is no finish line to reach. What is unfolding is becoming the ground of experience itself. Allow this continuation to remain unforced. There is nothing to conclude. What has settled will continue to settle quietly, shaping what comes next without interruption. As this calm continuity remains, the soul begins to sense something even quieter than peace itself. A deep sense of permission to exist exactly as it is. There is no pressure to improve the moment, no expectation to transform it into something else. The moment is allowed to be complete on its own. This permission removes the last traces of internal tension. Tension once came from the feeling that something needed to be fixed, adjusted, or corrected. Now, nothing feels out of place. Even imperfections feel held within a larger steadiness that does not reject them. Holding without judgment changes how the inner world responds to discomfort. Discomfort may still arise, but it no longer triggers resistance. Resistance once amplified discomfort. Without it, discomfort passes naturally, without leaving an imprint. Imprints were what made experiences linger. Without imprints, each moment ends cleanly. Clean endings allow fresh beginnings without effort. You are no longer dragging unfinished moments forward. This freshness changes how time is felt. Time no longer feels like a line you must keep up with. It feels like a wide field you move through at your own pace. Pace is no longer dictated by urgency, but by alignment. Alignment has become quiet and reliable. It does not announce itself with certainty or emotion. It simply feels right. You trust it because it does not rush you or pull you away from yourself. As trust deepens, the soul relaxes further into this grounded presence. Relaxation no longer feels like letting go. It feels like arriving home. Home is not a place you visit briefly. It is where you belong. Belonging removes the need to prove anything. You no longer feel watched, evaluated, or measured. What is present does not need approval. It exists freely. This freedom does not separate you from others. It allows connection without fear of loss. You can listen without absorbing. You can give without depletion. You can remain yourself while being fully present. Presence now feels spacious enough to hold complexity without strain. Conflicting emotions can exist without creating conflict inside. Ambiguity can remain without anxiety. Not knowing can exist without fear. Fear once filled the gaps between certainty. Now the gaps feel safe. They feel open rather than threatening. Openness allows curiosity without pressure. Curiosity here is gentle. It does not demand answers. It allows discovery to unfold naturally. Discovery does not rush. It reveals itself when the ground is ready. Readiness no longer feels like preparation. It feels like availability. You are available to what comes without bracing yourself against it. Availability feels calm and steady. Steadiness remains the defining quality now. It does not fluctuate with mood or circumstance. It supports everything quietly, without needing recognition. As this steadiness continues, the sense of being carried returns again, softly, not carried away from life, but carried through it, through uncertainty, through clarity, through rest and movement alike. This carrying does not override choice, it supports it. You choose without fear of collapse. You pause without fear of falling behind. You remain without fear of stagnation. Fear has lost its organizing power. It may still whisper, but it no longer shapes the inner landscape. What shapes it now is trust, patience, and quiet presence. These qualities do not need to be practiced. They are the result of remaining. Remaining has done its work deeply and thoroughly. As this work continues, there is no need to anticipate what comes next. What comes next will arise from this ground naturally, without disruption. Allow this continuation to keep unfolding gently. Nothing needs to end. Nothing needs to resolve. What has become steady will continue to hold quietly and completely beneath every moment that follows. As this deep steadiness continues to hold everything gently, there is a quiet realization that settles without effort. Nothing here is accidental. The calm that surrounds you now did not arrive suddenly, and it did not come from force. It formed because you remained, because you stayed present long enough for something deeper to take root. This is how true refuge works. It does not rush you. It does not demand performance. It invites you to dwell. And as you dwell, it reshapes you from the inside, quietly, patiently, permanently. You may notice now how different your inner world feels compared to when this began. The tension that once felt constant has softened. The urgency that once drove your thoughts has quieted. What remains is a grounded awareness that does not need to prove itself. This awareness is not fragile. It does not disappear when thoughts return or when life becomes active again. It remains beneath everything, steady and accessible. You do not need to protect it. You simply recognize it. Recognition has replaced effort. And this is where something important becomes clear. What you are experiencing here is not meant to be temporary. It is meant to be returned to again and again, not as an escape, but as a place of strength. If this moment has brought clarity, calm, or a sense of safety into your spirit, allow yourself to stay connected to it. And if you feel guided, take a moment to remain close to this space by continuing with these moments of refuge. Staying connected allows this dwelling to deepen over time, without pressure, without interruption. From here, there is nothing more you need to do. The work that mattered has already happened quietly. The ground has been established. What grows next will rise from this place naturally. As this time draws gently toward its close, let the calm remain with you. Carry it forward without effort. Let it move beneath your day, beneath your thoughts, beneath your rest. And when you are ready to return, you will find that this place has not moved. It does not close. It does not withdraw. It remains. You can return through another moment of stillness. You can return through another psalm. You can return whenever the soul needs to dwell again. Remain steady, remain sheltered, and allow this quiet refuge to continue shaping everything that follows. As this moment gently settles into silence, there is no sense of loss. Nothing is being taken away. What was revealed here does not end with these words. It remains beneath them, steady and quiet, ready to be returned to whenever the soul needs shelter again. You do not leave this place. You simply carry it forward. Carry it into the next breath. Carry it into the next step. Carry it into the spaces of your day where noise once entered too easily. This refuge was never meant to exist only here. It was meant to become familiar, a place you recognize instantly, a place you return to without effort, a place that waits without urgency. As the words begin to fade, allow the calm to remain. Let the silence complete what language no longer needs to hold. Silence knows how to finish what words can only begin. And when the soul seeks this dwelling again, when the night feels long, when rest feels distant, when the inner world asks for quiet, there are other moments waiting for you here, other psalms, other nights of stillness, other spaces where the soul can remain and be restored. You may choose another refuge when the time is right, another prayer, another psalm, another moment of dwelling. For now, nothing more is required. Remain steady, remain sheltered, and let what has settled continue to guard you quietly, long after this moment comes to rest. As the sound softens and the rhythm slows, there is no need to stay alert. Nothing new will be asked of you now. What needed to be said has already settled, and what needed to be felt has found its place. You may notice that thoughts move more slowly here. If they appear, let them pass without following. There is no destination to reach, no insight to capture. The stillness itself is enough. Allow the breath to continue on its own. Allow the body to rest where it is. Allow the silence to do what it knows how to do. This quiet does not demand attention. It supports it gently. Even if awareness drifts, even if sleep approaches, nothing is lost. What has been established remains beneath consciousness, steady and intact. There is safety in letting go now, safety in not listening actively, safety in simply remaining. The refuge does not close when you stop noticing it. It does not fade when words end. It does not depend on effort or focus. It remains. If sleep comes, let it come. If wakefulness remains, let it remain. Both are held by the same calm ground. Nothing more needs to happen tonight. Nothing needs to be completed. Nothing needs to be remembered. Rest here quietly without expectation. Rest within the same shelter that has held you throughout this time, and allow the silence to carry you gently forward.